You are welcome to LFN What's Your Say? The #1 listening show, where we discuss real issues with real people like you. We are again featuring R. Kelly. When one observes the way some artists and companies that worked with R. Kelly reacted quickly, and with certainty to R. Kelly's arrest, one may think these guys probably knew what the verdict was going to look like. Many artists were quick to denounce him, RCA, the Sony record label to drop him, and critics to call him names branding him predator. For example, after the Surviving R. Kelly docuseries was aired on Lifetime television, Celine Dion quickly removed the single she did with him entitled I Am Your Angel from streaming services. It felt like all these individuals and institutions were already aware of what the verdict was going to be. Only YouTube gave R. Kelly the benefit of doubt, and awaited the court ruling before shutting down his 2 channels that included the popular R. Kelly TV. Whatever made all these people so sure of what the verdict was going to look like? It appeared as though they had been briefed on what was going to happen. Could the guilty verdict have been pre-planned? We don't know. The actions they all took were those expected to be taken only when one has been proven guilty, not with mere allegations that haven't yet been proven in the courts of law. It looked as though someone with authority and power had told them that this time round, R. Kelly will not win the case. Meanwhile, it is important to remember that all these people knew R. Kelly had won the previous 2003 case, where he had almost similar charges. However, this did not make those that seemingly predicted the September 28 verdict to develop any cold feet about dropping him quick. This gives us the reason to believe these people could have celebrated the Brooklyn verdict days before it was even arrived at. But most importantly, it reveals to me that R. Kelly was always meant to be found guilty in the first place. The trial, according to case analysts, was just another formality to show that due process was followed in sending him to prison, but it appears the R&B king simply had no chance of surviving this plan to keep him locked up right from the time of his arrest. Kelly's lawyers therefore need to plan a defense from an informed point of view, knowing well that there could be people that pre-planned R. Kelly's destiny to be prison. To turn this around, they need to change goalposts and launch an offensive. Perhaps report cases themselves and drag some people to court. Then try to negotiate a sort of counter-settlement, where the accuser settles your demands in turn for settling theirs. An approach not so different from what Bill Cosby's lawyer did, demanding that the initial agreement to acquit her client on providing vital case information to the courts of law be respected and followed. Kelly's lawyers need to identify all loopholes in this case, take advantage of them and litigate in an offensive position to create grounds for a sort of negotiation and therefore a win-win situation. It is not uncommon for countersuits to lead the parties involved to a negotiation table. Robert says, "Indeed, when I saw the way his record company was quick at dropping him, I sort of lost hope for a not guilty verdict. These are well-established organizations that have enough resources to keep their ears on the ground and would certainly know what's going on. They likely knew who was behind all this and were therefore confident with their decision. We can't even be sure who flew the plane with the infamous banner over their New York City offices. They could have done it themselves to create a good excuse for dropping the R&B king. I mean, who knows? It's always difficult to understand where resources to finance movements of the sort quickly come from. But they definitely are financed by individuals and organizations which have an interest. And it's not uncommon to find organizations financing campaigns against themselves as a way to justify certain actions. Even governments do this. Sometimes to the level of bombing themselves to justify military operations. All this compiled makes us doubt whether R. Kelly could have had a fair trial. There is no such a thing as a pre-planned fair trial. A fair trial starts in court and not in the public domain. Our only prayer now is that the appeal process can be finalized so R. Kelly can return to freedom. According to Tommy, indeed I have been dissatisfied with what transpired from the Brooklyn trial, where R. Kelly was determined guilty in a matter of only 6 hours of deliberation for a whole 10 counts. How quick could they have been? There was no way they could have come up with a verdict in such a short time. I strongly support the new R. Kelly lawyer, Jennifer Bonjean, in asking for a retrial. This can help us ascertain how the R&B king was found guilty in the first place. One could argue it out saying they could tell from the odds and their analysis of how the case was moving. But what beats my understanding is by the time RCA was dropping R. Kelly, and the artists he worked with taking interviews about him, the trial had not yet began. Even the case against him was still unclear. So which odds are we talking about here? Samuel suggests. There is completely no way for someone to predict a verdict unless they have been told prior what it's gonna be. And there is no way RCA, for example, great artists like Celine Dion and John Legend could have predicted a guilty R. Kelly verdict, unless they knew or had an idea which direction the case was taking, and how things were going to unfold even before the trial started. All hopes in the new lawyer to contest what could have been a trial influenced greatly by social opinion and a TV show. We need justice for R. Kelly. According to Batista, there is a lot that is still unknown regarding R. Kelly's Brooklyn trial. The idea of a private trial makes it even a lot more difficult to understand the dynamics of what transpired. But what we know well is R. Kelly didn't have a chance. He didn't even see a need to speak in his defense. We wait to see what the appeal comes with. I believe that's where the R&B king has a chance. Not in a retrial. But the way the R. Kelly ordeal managed to start with decisive drops from major companies and big artists, certainly leaves a question mark as to whether these entities actually did know what was going on, or whether it was all just a coincidence that they predicted a guilty verdict, and it was indeed a guilty verdict they got. All signals indicate that R. Kelly is being cornered. It will take smart lawyering and intense pressure from his legal team to redeem him from the position where the enemy wants him. And of course divine action from the good Lord who rescues us from all trouble. Even knowing what he is up against is seemingly a huddle on its own. If you wish to take part in a live interview discussing any of these topics, let us know by sending an email to sashalfnmedia@gmail.com for scheduling. Thank you for watching today's video, a production of LFN Media, giving you another perspective of issues at hand. We make it our business to keep you updated with the truth amidst the cloud of lies the media wants you to believe. It is therefore important to subscribe to this channel, hit the bell icon and allow all notifications so that you don't miss out whenever we publish a new video.